In 1985, my next guest became the youngest ever chess world champion. He's generally regarded as the greatest chess player of all time and has become an international star in the process. And since his retirement from the game in 2005, he's become better known as an outspoken human rights activist and one of Vladimir Putin's biggest critics. He's in Ireland this weekend as part of his campaign trail to become president of the World Chess Federation. Would you welcome, please, Garry Kasparov, ladies and gentlemen. You're most welcome.
Thank you.
And you're on the campaign trail.
Yes, I am.
Tell us a little bit about your trip to Ireland. Why Ireland?
Here I'm meeting delegates of the four federations.
Yeah.
England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. And it's a part of my global tour. So I was in Iceland 3 weeks ago meeting Nordic federations. Just on my way to British Isles, I visited Morocco, Tunisia, Portugal, Albania. But this just it's Europe, North Africa.
Yeah.
But there are many remote places in the world.
I can imagine. How's the campaign going?
It's fine. Actually, it's not just a campaign for just international chess federation. It's a very much political campaign because the man who is in charge of the federation. He's from Russia, and he's there for 19 years, even longer than Vladimir Putin. And
it's time for change, you think?
It's time for change, but I mean, it's not a chess fight because he's always accompanied, the incumbent, by Russian embassies.
Okay.
Anywhere he goes, you know, you can see Russian ambassador or people from the embassy.
So he's politicized in that sense.
It's politicized.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's very natural because you know it was very convenient for Putin and Putin's cronies to keep this organization, you know, just always ready to follow the orders.
Okay, well, we need to talk about Vladimir Putin a little later on and where you stand with him and his policies and where Russia's going at the moment. But I suppose as we have you here, and I think you were in the Mansion House earlier on as well. Is that right? What were you doing there?
I would do that tomorrow. So
it's tomorrow. Excuse me. Sorry, I thought you were there today. Yes. Okay. We've spoken before, and we spoke about
7 years ago.
That's correct.
Yes,
and we spoke.
My book was published.
That's right.
First edition, yes.
Precisely. Well, you remember. As you might, you're always a few moves ahead of me, I'd say. But you're
actually it's retro analysis because
retro analysis. Sorry, you're feeling. Oh God, we'll be here all night. It's getting like Inception. But you were talking at that time about the importance of chess in education.
Yes.
In terms of the minds of the young.
Yes, it's proven just in many places, many quarters around the world, that having chess as an educational tool at early age, 6, 7, 8, up to 9, you know, could have a very dramatic positive effect, lasting effect for kids to improve their just cognitive skills and the way they, you know, just can recognize patterns, to see the big picture. And it's a very inexpensive tool to help them to go beyond number crunching, because the memorization plays a very big role in the modern education.
Yes.
And here you can just help them to understand what is behind numbers and calculation.
And in Russia we have Gaelic football. It's our big sport, our national sport, GAA, hurling football. Is Russia, is chess the national sport?
No.
Would that be right to say? No, but it is hugely important to the Russian people? No, okay. I got the impression chess was very much. I'm talking through my hat, haven't I?
I
thought chess was deeply important to.
Yeah, but at that time the country was called Soviet Union. Yeah, when it was important.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it was important.
It was important in the Soviet Union.
In the Soviet Union.
This country disappeared in 1991.
I see what you mean.
So Vladimir Putin is trying to reconstruct parts of that.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody can fight history, but that's we'll talk about it later. But in the Soviet Union, chess was a very important propaganda tool.
Okay.
So I don't have to complain because I was one of the beneficiaries of these programs that were aimed to find young talented players.
Sure.
But still, you know, it's the big attention paid by the Communist Party to chess was due to the fact that chess was seen as a very important element of proving the superiority of communist regime over decadent West.
Right. So then when you're into the Kasparov exchanges, shall we say, there was a feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, which I suspect you will, and rightly so, at that time, there was a feeling that you were Western-leaning. You talked to Western journalists, to European journalists and so forth, whereas Karpov is very much the States guy.
Yeah, he was a States guy. Yeah, it's
a bit simplistic, but
it's a bit simplistic. Yes, it's not as black and white as the game of chess. But yes, Karpov was the darling of the system, and right. At that time I didn't have any political ambitions. I just believed that certain things are right or wrong, and I just have to stand my ground. So and when I was pushed aside from the chessboard, and I recognized that the system was working against me, I was shouting. Eventually, I just also recognized that it was not about Karpov or sports committee or chess officials, but it was more about the system. And when I was already world champion in 87, 88, 89, so I joined the democratic movement in the Soviet Union, and that was the beginning of my
the political road.
Okay, you may say political road. Also, I always seen it as just more for just advocate for democracy and human rights.
Back to the chess then, with the likes of Karpov, you would have had tournaments that went on for
a long time,
for 5 months at one stage.
Yeah,
that's a long time to be eyeballing someone.
No, we played our first game, the World Championship match game, in 1984.
Yes,
it was September 10, and the last game it was the end of December 1990. So it's 6 years. So we met each other. We played 144 games at the highest level, so the World Championship match, plus numerous games in the tournaments.
We were talking to boxers, Barry and Carl, earlier on, and in terms of psychology and psychological warfare. Is there psychological warfare in chess with somebody like Karpov, somebody I presume you rate?
If you play just few games with anybody, whether you play poker or chess, whatever, so there's a psychological component. So before you actually lose the game at the chessboard, you lose it psychologically. So there's if it's only two players engaged in a lengthy, almost endless battle, then the role of psychology is just exponentially growing.
So you do. So you would have different.
Yeah, but it's not by accident. The older matches, they were very close. So, but I always won the decisive game.
Yeah.
So that's probably something to do with the psychology, because Karpov was also a great player.
Yeah, of course he was, and you respected him all the time. I suspect.
Yeah, okay. The guy was a world champion for 10 years, and it's one of the greatest players in history. So I was very proud of playing him and beating him.
Deep Blue, the computer, for want of a better word, you played. And I got the impression that you weren't happy with what happened with Deep Blue.
I was never happy when I lost.
But I felt that, I got the impression that you felt that there was something up. There was something awry.
Look, I couldn't be happy because I lost. And I was probably even unhappy because I was not sure that it was a fair competition.
In the sense that the computer that
I don't
you were
know.
playing
they say at the end of the day, but if you play two matches and you won one, I won one in Philadelphia in '96, and you lost the second. So I think it's natural to play the rubber match, and instead the machine has been dismantled. So I didn't like it.
So you felt there was something a little bit fishy about the whole thing?
Okay, it's a very long story. So it was many years ago. So it's water under the bridge.
As you wish.
But again, it's.
Let's talk about Russia and the Putin years and your political activism. I mean, you choose a different form of words, I think, do you? You don't like political activist? I mean,
you may call it political activism, but when you talk about political activities, you can mislead the public, because the moment you talk politics, people think about registering political party, fundraising, debate on television.
Okay, well, you set us straight then, Gary.
But it's not happening in Russia. Okay. And then when people ask me about whether my chess experience could help me in just to navigate in these political waters in Russia, I always said no. Because in chess we have fixed rules and unpredictable results. Yeah. While in Russia, Putin's Russia is exactly the opposite.
You don't believe he's a democratically elected president?
Yeah, that's in democratic elections, results are unpredictable. So in Russia, rules change, results stay the same.
He would say, "I'm just very popular."
Okay, Hitler was even more popular in 1938 in Germany. And I'm sure if you do today the polling in Baghdad, in Damascus, I'm sure Bashar al-Assad will make 100%.
Do you think that when you think of what Vladimir Putin did in Crimea recently, and having had a look at Syria and looking at the reaction he got from, say, particularly Washington and then Europe, did that embolden him to go into Crimea, take that, and now maybe look towards Moldova? Do you think he's emboldened by the weakness of the West as it stands?
Again, it's just we know from the history that, you know, dictators have been always growing with our weakness, with our fears, with our inability to make decisions. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's the democracies. They are not looking for open military conflict, but it's all about credibility. If you cannot make a credible threat, there's no respect. And after Syria, and I warned about it, that is the way Obama acted in Syria, you know, it was the best proof for Putin that nobody would act. And
so he was dabbling there to see what would happen.
But it's just when people ask me whether I could compare this game with chess, I said no. It's more like poker, and Putin is having quite a weak hand. Let's say pair of 10, but he acts as if he has a flash royale, and Obama could have a full house but flash in the toilet.
What? it's a fascinating analogy.
But again, it's directly from Hitler's playbooks. You know, so just, you know, raise the stakes.
Do you think he's
bluff? I mean, and they'll blink.
It's very easy to bring Hitler into historic analogy. Of course it is, and we know that where he went was to the worst horrors of imaginable. Do you think that?
Wait. There's horrors, but again, you're talking about Hitler from history books.
Yes, I am.
Don't forget, you know, we're talking about Hitler of 1938.
Yes.
And if you read, you know, London Times, Le Monde, New York Times, you'll read the stories about a legitimate leader who is leading his country, who could be probably a bit radical.
German-speaking minorities and so on.
Exactly. But when you look at the Putin speeches recently, in the last few weeks, and Hitler's speeches, you know, it's replica.
Well, let's take that argument to its logical conclusion. How far is Putin going to go? In your mind? Anywhere
before he stopped. You know, there are no limits. So he made it very clear. Again, let's not speculate. Let's just listen to what he said a number of times.
Yeah.
He does not recognize the legitimate government of Ukraine. He does not recognize Ukraine as a state. He keeps talking about southern Ukraine and eastern Ukraine. We're talking about half of the country being illegally given by Bolsheviks to the Ukrainian Republic, and you know he keeps talking about protecting Russian minorities, Russian-speaking population, not only in Ukraine or Moldova, but also in the Baltic states.
Right. So and that's your nightmare scenario if he keeps going. Let's talk about
it's our nightmare scenario.
I appreciate that, but just in terms of this argument and you talking to me now, let me ask you this much. We talked before. We talked about your personal concerns for your own safety. I think, if I remember correctly, you said you weren't comfortable.
I'm safe in the studio.
You are for now.
Yes.
But if Vladimir Putin probably isn't a fan of yours, probably doesn't like you as a very important Russian figure.
And it's mutual, yes. Okay.
Of course. Yeah. Going around Europe telling everyone that you think...
If I go around the world, okay.
The world, excuse me. Quite right. Okay, so it's a world tour.
Yes.
So what I'm asking you is the following. Do you think that like the last time we spoke, you said you didn't like to fly Aeroflot, the Russian airline.
I don't fly now because I'm out of Russia, so and I'm just, you know...
Yeah, but they can get you anywhere.
Look, I fly too often, so anything
I'm
can
not
happen,
talking about planes.
But look, what I can do. So unfortunately, this regime, you know, doesn't respect any borders, any international
Do you
treaties.
look over your shoulder on occasion with concern?
I have too many concerns in my life. So
no, but do you think, as you may be a threat to Putin's Russia, do you think you could be on a...
What can I do? I mean, it's not a calculated risk. It's something that you do it. You know, do what is right, and so be it. So what do
you have bodyguards?
No.
You don't feel the need for that at all?
No, they don't. If they go after you, it doesn't help.
Yeah. Do you think that they'd like to get you?
I don't know. So I hope we'll never find out.
Okay. We have to leave it there, but good luck in your campaign, and thanks for coming to see us this evening.
Thank you very much.
Garry Kasparov, pleasure to see you. You keep your seat for a moment. Thank you. All right. We do have a short break to take, so join us in a few minutes' time when we're going to meet the grandmother who started No Strings Sex at 6.